Mindfulness is a way of befriending ourselves and our experience. These wise words were said by Jon Kabat-Zinn. To talk more about mindfulness, we have a really amazing guest whose wisdom will demystify all the myths you have about mindfulness. Hello and welcome to this special episode. I am your host Mithali Ohri, and today we are joined by Tomasz Drybala, who is a keynote speaker, flow and mindful movement teacher, extreme runner, and author of the book Flow Up, Get Rid of Anxiety, Stress and Overwhelm and Unlock Focus, Creativity and Joy. He is currently on the move for his Mindfulness Ultra Run Challenge, covering 4 continents, 27 countries, conducting 400 events. His extreme challenges and work has been published in Red Bull, New York Post, The Daily Mail, Fox TV, and the list goes on. National Geographic is currently the official media patron for his challenge and upcoming ones. So with all that being said, let us welcome Tomasz Drybala. Tom, welcome to Self-Talk Show. First of all, I would like to applaud and wish you all the best for your Mindfulness Ultra Run Challenge and all your other upcoming challenges. Secondly, I am very honored to have you as one of my podcast guests. To be honest, it's one of my proudest moments. So Tom, would you please tell us about your Flow Up Global Mindfulness Ultra Run Challenge? How it all started and what's the significance behind it?
Thank you very much for having me on your podcast. It all started a few years ago when I was going through a quite difficult time in my life. I lost my business, I got divorced, I wasn't living with my 2 sons any longer. And I have been in a quite bad mental state, so I just wanted to improve my mental health, and I started running. It was early 2016. I'm actually running for the past 18, maybe 20 years, but I was running like half an hour twice a week just to clear my mind. But then since the beginning of 2016, I increased my time which I was spending on physical exercises. But I wasn't really interested in the physical part of the running. My interest was always in the how to improve our mental health through running and basically through the physical movement. My first big challenge happened in April 2019. I started running and making 5 million steps in 101 days. It's supposed to actually be 100 days, but I was 1 day late. Then after 3 weeks, I started running another challenge, 11,000 kilometers, nearly 7,000 miles from Hanoi in Vietnam to Denpasar in Bali, just with a backpack. Then my third challenge was to run 2,500 kilometers through Scotland, England and Poland. And now on the 30th of September, I started running the Circumference of the Earth, the biggest challenge. And I think this is going to be the last big challenge which I made. I started running from New York down the country to Florida. Then I would turn towards Texas, Mexican border, and run on the other side to San Diego and turning up to Portland. So I'm planning to run through United States until July 2023. At current time when we record this podcast, I'm actually in Virginia Beach, and I pass a bit over 600 kilometers, so around 400 miles. Then after I finish, the United States is the first stage. After I finish running through the United States, I have a 1-month break, and then starting running through Asia from Hong Kong, 11,000 kilometers, so nearly 7,000 miles from Hong Kong to Bali in Indonesia. Then again 1-month break, and I'm running through Arabian Peninsula from U-shape from Kuwait to Egypt to Cairo. Then again 1-month break, and I'm running through Europe. The Europe part will be the longest one. It's about 8,000 miles, 13,000 kilometers. and in Europe I will start from Greece, from Athens in Greece, and finish in London. And hopefully it will be March 2026 if everything goes according to the plan, and I will complete my run. So the entire challenge is planned for 3.5 years, for 40 months, but we know how the life is. It never goes according to the plan. So, I'm prepared that I may run a bit longer. But, as I mentioned, I'm interested in mental health, and my run is not really about the running, it's about the mental health. Along the way of my running road, I'm conducting over 400 events at universities, colleges, businesses, government institutions, and out of those 400 events, 100 of them will be the philanthropic events. I'm teaching people how to use mindful movement and active meditation to remove flow blockers and create conditions for flow. So I'm teaching people how to use mindful movement to get rid of anxiety, stress and overwhelm, and unlock focus, creativity and joy. Along the way of my running road, I'm fundraising for UNICEF, helping kids in Ukraine, Venezuela, Philippines, Yemen. So that's the region where I'm actually running through. But the UNICEF works in all around the world, so we will be helping kids all around the globe. I'm supporting child protection and education. So there's a big cause behind my running. I'm building trauma-informed communities. I was struggling most of my life up to almost 40 years old with stress, anxiety and overwhelm caused by few traumatic experiences in my childhood. I managed to resolve this through mindful movement, and now I'm helping to other people do the same.
Tom, you have come a long way facing a lot of difficult situations with all the courage while building your mental strength and also helping others, which is so brilliant. You are a true inspiration. Hats off to you. I'm sure our audience would love to know about your life journey. How did you discover your true self?
Well, probably it's similar like with most of other people when we make big changes in our life. I go through a really hard time in my life, and I decided that I need to change lots of things. It was at the time when, as I mentioned already, it was at the time when I lost my business and I get divorced, and I wasn't living with my 2 sons any longer. That was really close to a Christmas time, and I was terrified that I would have to spend my first Christmas on my own. I didn't want. I'm originally from Poland. I lived for the past 21 years in London, in United Kingdom. I didn't actually want to go to Poland to my family. I didn't want to, spend Christmas with my friends in London and keep repeating what happened and, say the story over and over. So one day before the Christmas, I bought a ticket to Asia. I packed a bag with the books and I go on I just want to disappear from the world. So I go on an empty beach in Asia and I spend a month just reading the books. And down there on that empty beach, I took a notebook and I started making notes of what didn't work in my life, what I want to change and what I want to do to make that change. I didn't know how to start, where to begin, but I decided that whatever will happen next, I will keep pushing myself to make as many changes in my life as I can, and to finally become happy, to finally stop struggling with stress, anxiety, overwhelm, with focus. And when I back to London after that month, I started from small things. I started from wearing new t-shirt, different t-shirt, I sold the car and I started walking to work, going to different places where I've never been, changing beer for water, changing coffee for tea, changing small little things, what I wear, my hair, how I talk, how I behave, what people I meet. And slowly it was, from one small change to another small change. And it just started working for me. I started feeling completely different way. I started being focused. I started, I become creative. I started writing my own book. I started meditating. The breakthrough for me was when I discovered mindful movement and active meditation. I couldn't, when I try standard traditional meditation, I couldn't sit for too long still. But the absolute breakthrough was when I discovered mindful movement and active meditation.
That is so amazing. I completely agree with you that small changes over time make a huge difference in our life. Butterfly effect really works. What, according to you, is mindfulness?
For me, the simplest mindfulness definition is being present, is being fully aware of where we are and what we are doing, and not too much reactive, too much responsive or overwhelmed to what's going on around us. As I already mentioned, I was struggling for a really long time, for almost 40 years of my life, with the focus, anxiety, stress and overwhelm. I felt anxiety with almost absolutely everything what was happening in my life, and that was really enabling me to stay focused on what I was doing at the current time. And the breakthrough came for me when I was running through Asia. And as I mentioned, I'm originally from Poland. I lived for the past 21 years in London and we don't have many snakes in there. But when I was running through Asia, the snakes was absolutely everywhere, and some of them was really dangerous snakes, and a few times I almost stepped on a snake. So, and because, I was always dwelling on the past or worrying about the future, barely focusing on the present moment, it was kind of the life and death situation for me, because when I was running for few hours through the small road, through the jungle, and, no one was passing me for a few hours, if the snake will bite me, I may simply not get the help on time. So it was kind of the life and death situation, and I started really paying a lot of attention to where I'm putting my feet, where I'm running, and I kept running like this for several weeks, and at some point, I started running crazy distances, like 70 kilometers, 80 kilometers, 90 kilometers, even 100 kilometers. One day was my absolute record when it was actually day and night, when I passed 138 kilometers in one day. And not only this, when I was running just with a backpack with a laptop inside, I did have to work after run to pay my bills. So then when I arrived at the hotel, I was able to rest for half an hour, 1 hour, and then open my laptop and work for the next few hours. And I was highly focused on what I was doing. So I become curious how this is happening, why there is such a big shift in my life, in the way how I feel, and all those anxieties, stress and overwhelm disappeared. And then I started learning about this. I started searching, and I discovered that actually I'm practicing mindful movement, active meditation, because I was focusing on my steps, on my breath, or on my body, on where I'm putting my steps. So I was practicing mindfulness at that time, and that practicing mindfulness for extended period of time, because it was usually a few hours a day, started getting me regularly into the state of flow. And when I was getting into the state of flow, my nervous system was resetting, and then the anxiety, stresses and overwhelms was disappearing, and I was open and clear for focus and creativity. So this journey is absolutely amazing. It happened totally accidentally, thanks to the snakes, I can say. And then I just got curious what is happening in me, because I never felt that way. and I started learning about this. And then when I discovered what is actually happening and how the whole process goes, I created the coaching program. I started talking at the universities still when I was running through Asia. I was talking at 20 universities in Thailand, teaching people about mindfulness, mindful movement, flow, active meditation. And I started back then in Asia. I started writing my first book, and now the book is ready and will be published soon.
So it was like you were unintentionally practicing the mindful movement. Let us discuss your book Flow Up. So what I understood from the book title and subtitle is to unburden oneself from all the heavy weights that we carry of anxieties and stress, and to gear up our focus, creativity and joy, if I'm right. So can we say that this book be considered as a self-help manual? Does it also consist of some tools that you teach in your mindfulness programs?
Oh yes, absolutely. It's a self-help book. It's a guide how to use mindful movement to unlock focus, creativity and joy. The book title is a Flow Up, Get Rid of Anxiety, Stress and Overwhelm and Unlock Focus, Creativity and Joy. And I wrote the entire book for my two sons. I have two sons at current time. They are 10 and 17 years old. And when I discovered that I don't need to feel all the time anxiety, stress and overwhelm, that I can actually be focused the whole day. Doesn't matter if it's work or if it's time with the family or if it's time with the friends or if it's time just for myself. When I discovered that I don't need to dwell on the past or worry about the future, I started reading more about the subject. Last year I read over 24 books on the subject, and I discovered that all of those anxieties, stress and overwhelms are the results of our past traumatic experiences. And most of the people, they don't really know what it means to have traumatic experience, but the statistics says that at least 70% of the entire population at some point in their life, they experienced traumatic events. When we think about the traumatic events, we think about experiencing the war or living with parents who was drinking a lot of alcohol, having the experience of domestic violence, etc. And of course, that's traumatic events. But the traumatic events can be as simple as being questioned at the age of 8 by your teacher in front of your class and saying your unpopular opinion on popular subject, and being criticized by your teacher and laughed out by your classmates. This may be your traumatic experience. And each human is completely different. We feel different way. And what is the traumatic experience for me may be absolutely nothing for you, and the other way around. So we all go through the traumatic experiences. And if we don't heal those past traumatic experiences, we may be affected by those traumatic experiences for the entire life. So let me give you the example. At the age of 10, you ran with your colleagues after the school, you fell down and you break your knee. Maybe not break, but injure your knee. The years go, it was very painful. The years gone, now you are 30 or 40 years old. You completely forget about the accident which you did have many years ago, but the memory of the pain exists somewhere in your subconscious mind. It was never held. So now when you are 30 or 40 years old, you are going for a run, and subconsciously you are bringing the memory of this painful experience when you was a kid, when you was running and collapsing, and when you felt that strong pain in your knee. And now you are starting feeling that pain in your knee only because you expect this, because that painful memory is existing still somewhere in your subconscious mind. So, I learned that if we don't heal those past traumatic experiences, then they may affect us for the entire life. Not only this, we may pass them onto our kids, onto the next generation. And as I mentioned, I have 2 sons, and I didn't want my sons to feel the way how I felt for most of my life. So I created the guide for them, how they can use mindful movement to heal from the past traumatic experiences, to get rid of anxiety, stress and overwhelm, and unlock focus, creativity and joy. And I dedicate the entire book to my 2 sons.
Tom, I'm sure your book will help many. How can we implement mindfulness in our daily activities? For example, one of your blogs that caught my attention was mindful teeth brushing exercise. So would you like to share about it as well?
Yes, so the many people which I'm teaching mindful movement and active meditation, they are saying to me after trying once or twice the exercises, they are saying to me that, this is not working because I was thinking all the time. I was doing the shopping list, or thinking how to respond to email, or thinking what I have to do today, how many responsibilities I have. I was repeating the conversation with mother, with friends, with work colleagues. So my mind was busy with absolutely everything except for focusing on the present moment, except for meditating, whether it's a sitting meditation or the active meditation. And this is absolutely normal. We have to understand that every human have between 40,000 to 70,000 thoughts a day. We are simply not aware of those thoughts. They are happening in our subconscious mind anyway. It's our biology. The challenge is not to not having those thoughts, but to not being affected by those thoughts, to kind of the filter them. So I'm teaching people, it's hard to practice meditation, start from practicing meditation for 20 minutes or half an hour a day at a time. So I'm teaching people to implement meditation into activities which they already do. So it's not something that I have to separate time for the meditation, but they already do those activities, and then they add another habit to the existing activity. So they add like, for example, mindful tooth brushing. So the challenge here is that you practice this mindfulness exercise only for 2-3 minutes a day, in the morning and in the evening when you brush your tooth. And it will be difficult at the beginning. You may discover that actually during those 2-3 minutes you are losing focus many times, and this is absolutely normal. And you have to understand that when you notice that you lose the focus, it means actually that this meditation works for you, because you started noticing the thoughts which you have anyway in your subconscious mind, those 40,000 to 70,000 thoughts. It may become a bit overwhelming at the very beginning, because you may notice that you have a very negative self-talk. You may notice that you think very bad things about yourself. And this is actually the great thing, because when you are aware of something, what is happening in your subconscious mind, you can start changing it. If you have those 40 to 70,000 thoughts a day and you are not aware of them, you don't really know what those thoughts are about, they may affect your life badly. You may end up doing things which you don't want to do because you are driven by those subconscious self-talk. So I can give you the simple example of how to practice mindful toothbrushing. So simply when you go for a run. When you go, I'm a runner. So when you go, but to practice those mindful tools, you don't need to be a runner. You don't have to actually do any sort of the sport. I'm recommending to do it, but you can simply implement those mindful tools to any sort of the physical movement. For example, like brushing your tooth. So when you put the toothpaste on a brush, just focus on what's happening next. So what is the color of your toothpaste? What can you hear? Pay attention to your arms moving from side to side and the sound of the toothbrush against your teeth. Are you moving your toothbrush in a circular motion or up and down? You don't need to think about it. It's more about being present and noticing all those things. So now focus on the sensations. How does toothpaste smell? What is the flavor? How does it feel like on your tooth? Does it taste strong? Do you like the toothpaste? Just try to be focused on everything what is happening during the next 2-3 minutes when you brush your tooth. If you lose your attention, don't criticize yourself, don't judge yourself, just acknowledge it, label it by saying thinking, and come back to the same activity. Now, if you implement those mindful movement tools to many activities throughout the day, like for example to toothbrush, like for example to paying attention to drinking coffee, like for example to paying attention to putting your clothes on, to paying attention to lacing your shoes, to paying attention for 3 minutes when you walk to work, pay attention how you put your steps, how it feels when you're putting your steps on the ground, or or pay attention to your breath. Breath in, breath out when you walk to work. Then pay attention for 3 minutes when you're eating your lunch. Pay attention for 3 minutes when you're cooking. Pay attention for 3 minutes when you're talking with your child. Pay attention for 3 minutes when you're taking shower or bath in the evening. So you don't have to push yourself to make 20 or 30 minutes time for sitting meditation, for sitting still. It's really hard to implement that meditation if you have to separate 30 minutes just for sitting. It's much easier if you implement mindful movement active meditation for 2-3 minutes 5 times per day. But you have to plan this. You have to say to yourself that I want to implement this mindful movement active meditation activities to 5 different activities throughout the day. Take yellow post-notes, put in those places where you want to practice those activities. So for example, the kitchen cupboard, on a shoe cupboard, on a mirror in your bath, on a door to your shower. And remember to practice those mindful movement tools for 3 minutes throughout the day. And what will start happening is that you will train your mind to stay in the present moment.
Thank you for sharing one of your mindfulness tools with us. One can easily implement this practice in his or her daily activities, thereby increasing their focus. How does childhood trauma or any traumatic experience affect our mental health? Can an individual identify the symptoms regarding it? How can they deal with the triggers that sometimes take over them and their situation?
So let me explain this on a very simple example, and I will give you also the exercise how to resolve this. I already mentioned about this example about the knee injury, but let me explain this properly. So our minds and body are constantly communicating with each other. Our thoughts influence our emotions, and our emotions have a direct impact on our bodies. Now, the research shows that our mind can create real and measurable changes in the body, but this is also working the other way around, so we can harness the power of the body to heal our mind. The study shows that part of the prefrontal cortex is activated during pain, and the same areas of the brain are involved in executive functions like attention and execution of high-order tasks. It simply means that sometimes we can feel physical pain only because we expect it to feel. So, what does it mean in our daily life? Perhaps at the age of the 10, when you were running with your classmates, you fell down and experienced a painful knee injury. Years gone, now you are 40 years old, you have completely forgotten about the injury which you did have 30 years ago, but the memory of that pain you felt in your knee still exists in your subconscious mind. So when you go for a run, subconsciously, you simply expect to feel the pain, and so you do, which blocks you from running regularly or faster or longer distances. But the great news is that our mind learns by repetition. So if you respond to that pain this way at current time, that probably is because you already respond the same similar way for many years, and that was caused with that first painful experience which you did have 30 years ago. But we can rewrite that script with a simple mindfulness exercise. The research shows that we can become better when we expect that we can feel better, when we expect to be better. This is the power of belief. So when our body expects to get better, it sends the messages to start healing process, and hormones, neurochemicals and immune cells are released. So today I will teach you a very simple mindful exercise. So mindfulness is about accepting what is here right now as best as we can, including pain, so we can release tension and be more responsive to what comes next. So next time when you go for a run, you can implement those 3 very simple steps. So step number one, acknowledge and observe without judgment. So what that means? Let's say that you run and feel pain in your knee. Instead of getting nervous, upset and saying to yourself, I knew it, that damn knee pain again, or resisting the pain and pretending that it's not existing, simply acknowledge the pain. So say in your mind, okay, I feel pain in my knee, and I will watch it for a bit and try to recognize if it's indicating injury. So don't judge this pain, acknowledge your pain and observe it, look at it with curiosity and try to learn from your pain. Step number 2, accept the pain. So say in your mind, to yourself, it's okay, it's normal, I'm running 10 kilometers today and I may feel a bit of pain. It was my choice to go for a run today and now I choose to finish it. And step number 3, assign pain as a trigger for gratitude. So each time when you feel pain, think about 3 things that happened during the run or today that you are grateful for, and look for a very simple thing. So it may be, for example, I'm grateful that I already passed 8 kilometers. I'm grateful that I see that beautiful tree in front of me. Or I'm grateful that it's so green around me. So look for very simple things to be grateful for, and each time when you feel pain, repeat the same mindful exercise, but think about the 3 new things which you are grateful for. So in most cases, pain will disappear as soon as you accept it. What is actually happening is that you are rewriting the negative script which you already have in your mind, and train your mind to look for positive patterns each time when you feel pain. If you keep practicing it, it will become automatic, and instead of starting negative self-talk, you will start thinking positively, which will get you into a good mood, instead of the grumpy mood. And because our mind learns by love patterns, and learns by repetition, with time and practice, your mind will start looking for those positive patterns in all areas of your life. That's the example of how you can implement this exercise, mindful exercise, to physical pain, but you can use the same exercise to implement it to mental pain. For example, when you feel anxious or stressed, you may apply the same 3 steps and it will work the same way. We have to remember that the pain starts in the brain. It doesn't matter if it's physical pain, mental pain, or the emotional pain. It all starts in the brain and is usually related to the script which we have already written from our past traumatic experiences. You can implement the same exercise when you feel emotional pain. For example, you feel lonely, you miss someone, or you have a broken heart because you've been rejected in love. You can implement exactly the same exercise to any kind, any sort of the pain.
Tom, that was brilliantly explained. I'm sure the mindfulness tool that you have shared will definitely help our listeners. Would you like to tell us about your philanthropic work?
Yes, absolutely. My philanthropic effort started when I was running my first big challenge to make 5 million steps in 101 days. I was running this challenge in a few different islands in Asia. And when I landed in Manila, it's a capital city of Philippines, I was in shock. When I was running through not only the beautiful touristic places, but through the small villages, like the corners of the cities. And what I seen in Manila was terrified. I seen kids sleeping, in a carton boards below the bridges, eating food from the trash, and it all was happening just next to the huge, beautiful skyscrapers. And the gap between the rich people and the poor people in Philippines was shocking. And when I was running always with a small backpack and with some snacks inside my backpack and drink water. And when I stopped to eat something, when I removed it from my backpack, there was no chance to eat it. Within the seconds, there was dozens of kids around me begging for whatever I did have for those snacks. And I never managed to eat it myself in Manila because I did understand that maybe it's the only food which those kids have during the day. And it was terrifying me. It was terrifying me to the level that I actually escaped from Manila 2-3 days. I go to Cebu Island, to a beautiful tourist place, and I felt really bad that I move away from Manila. But at that time, I couldn't do anything. But I promised to myself that I would come back to Philippines. And I promised to myself that I will do whatever it is in my power to help kids like this, to help them when they are kids, and to help them later to heal those past traumatic experiences. So, when I'm one person, it's hard to do something on your own. But I'm on a mission to reach out to billion people with my message and help them improve their mental and emotional well-being. My message is very simple. I believe that each of us should have the same chance to be the life we are proud to live, regardless of our past experiences. I'm running now the circumference of the earth, nearly 25,000 miles from New York to London, supporting child protection and education. For the duration of my run, I commit to fundraise for UNICEF at least $1 million. I hope it will be much, much more. And I want to help to kids in Ukraine, Venezuela, Yemen, and the Philippines, of course, and many other countries where UNICEF operates. I commit to volunteering my time in at least 100 events, builds trauma-informed communities along the way of my running road, and teaching people how they can use mindful movement to heal their past traumatic experiences. And that's become the purpose of my life, and that becomes this is what is actually driving me to wake up in the morning, put my shoes on, and run that next 30 or 40 miles daily.
I really hope people join you and contribute to your mission of child protection and their education, helping them live a better life. How can our listeners contribute to your brilliant humanitarian mission of creating global change?
Oh, it's very simple. Run with me. You don't need to run in person with me, but run virtually with me. You can go to my website www.tomasz, Tomasz, Drybala, Drybala.com, and there is sub-page Runners for UNICEF. Just go there and read the explanation. It's 3 steps. So simply run with me, for example, 5 kilometers. You can get in touch with me and maybe you can catch up me somewhere along the way of my running road, or you can simply do it virtually. So the step 1, run with me, for example, 5 kilometers. Step 2, donate, for example, £5 or $5 or whatever you can directly to UNICEF. I have a Just Giving page connected directly to UNICEF, so all the money goes straight to the charity. And then step 3, share it. So share this information with your community, with your social media followers, and help me spread the word about the actions. There is 620 million active runners around the world. So imagine if we can inspire at least 10% of the runners, 62 million runners, if all of them would donate $1 or £1, imagine how much we can raise for kids which really need our helps. So I will be, over the moon if, any numbers of the people will engage with me and will join my action.
Any message you would like to leave us with?
My message to Simple is very simple. I believe that each of us should have the same chance to build a life we are proud to live, regardless of our past experiences. This simply means that whatever happened in your life, wherever you experience it, you may move on, you may heal from those past traumatic experiences, you may be whoever you want to be, and you may do in life whatever you want to do. You just need to make the decision to, put that shoes on, go for a run, and never stop. For me, you don't have to identify with me when I'm running now 25,000 miles. I didn't start from running 25,000 miles. For me, a few years ago, it was really difficult to make those first few steps, to make those first 5 kilometers. But I make this decision that I will change my life and I will not stop until I am in a place when I want to be. And I'm not saying here about any financial rewards. I'm saying here about how we feel, emotionally, mentally, and physically. Now, if you feel anxiety, stress, and overwhelm, you can resolve this. You can heal those past traumatic experiences, and you can unlock focus, creativity, and joy, and live the life the way how you want to live it. So don't give up. Make those few first steps, and simply never stop. Just keep making them.
That's a wonderful message, Tom. Thank you for your time. It was lovely having you on the show. And also, I'm very grateful to you for choosing Self-Talk Show as a medium to discuss your humanitarian mission and your work. Support Tom in fulfilling his mission, following 3 very simple steps mentioned in his website. Find the link of his website in the episode description. So with this, we come to an end of this episode. Hope you liked it and the feedback would definitely do wonders. I would really appreciate it if you can subscribe to Self-Talk Show. More episodes and more awareness is coming your way, so stay tuned and keep self-talking. You can reach out to me for questions, queries or suggestions at www.selftalkshow.com or email me at showselftalk@gmail.com or through social media pages on Facebook, Instagram and Twitter. Thank you again and see you with another episode.